Welcome to VBA Modeling for Supply Chain Planning and Financial Analysis. Here we will teach you how to write your own VBA code within Excel. This will be presented to you by Supply Chain Systems of Miami, Florida. Please contact us if you would like us to build models for you, or if you'd like to learn more about building the models for yourself. I hope you enjoy the tutorials, and please follow the link in the video description to get your own copy of the VBA code that is presented here. Lesson number 5 gave us the opportunity to work within nested loops and see what the values are changing, and I showed you some laborious ways of monitoring variables. There are some other tools that are available within the VBA area that allows you to monitor these values. If we go up to the view on the ribbon, click on that, and you'll see two windows here. One's called the immediate window, and we'll turn it on, and it pops up down below. We're going to do the same thing again, view, and put in the watch window. Just as a quick explanation, the watch window gives you the facility of seeing what values are being put into different variables. The immediate window, you can be a lot more elaborate with it, where you can actually write things down to the immediate window, and I've actually added a line of code up here to show you how you could do that. But in addition to that, you can actually type code into the immediate window, and it will have the effect of executing before you actually insert it into your code. If you're just curious about how some code might work, or if it works properly, you can actually type it right into the immediate window before you actually include it up in your normal code area. So let's take a look at this and see how this operates. With the watch window, we're going to go ahead up to the debug area here, and we're going to add a watch. Now, when we add the watch, you can see nothing goes in there right now. I could put in the character I, and it'll put it down there. Another way of doing this is I can highlight another variable. I'll pick J. I double click on it to highlight it. Then I go back up to debug and add watch, and you can see it automatically inserts it into this box, and we say OK, and it adds it down below. We're going to do the same thing again just to make it easy on ourselves. We'll double click on the K and go up to debug, add watch for K. Again, it's showing which procedure it's in, which module it's in. It's very specific to this particular subroutine. All right, and there's some other options down below that we can do here, but we'll skip that for now. Just going to say OK. So now we have 3 variables down in our watch window for monitoring what's happening as the code executes as we go through it. In contrast, I want to show you the immediate line. If I take off this single quote, this line will execute. You can see I can put lines of code in here, and it will skip it as long as it still thinks it's a comment or a remark. That single quote in there is very handy for including or excluding code. So here again, you put a single quote in front of it, it considers the line to be a comment. If you take it out, it will execute it. So let's get rid of the single quote, and you can see it changes color from the green to the black, and now that line of code will execute. And what I expect to happen when that line executes, you can see it's going to actually write in almost everything like we were doing before, where we were writing to the cells over here. This particular one is going to actually write it down to the immediate window without having any effect upon the spreadsheet. So this is just a way to monitor what's happening. All right, let's go down. Let's put a breakpoint in here to make it easy on ourselves. and see what happens when we get down to here. So we'll execute the code with the run button, or F5, and it executed the code up to the point, okay, where we have, let's see, the value is 4, I is equal to a 1, J is equal to 3, and K is equal to 2. So we've already gone through a number of iterations here. And notice what has happened. All right, down below, it's showing those same values in the window. So without having any code written, it just monitored what those values were, and these are the current values for those particular variables. Down below, it executed both of these lines, and it wrote down the same thing that you saw in the message box. So if you didn't want to use the message box, we could have just done it this way and had it written down here to make sure that our values are changing the way that we want. I'm going to execute this again, and let's do it a little bit slower this time and see what happens. And just notice the values that are occurring down in the watch window for I, J, and K. Okay, remember K is the most inner loop. So let's just execute this here. All right. You can see K is iterating as I go through this. Now it's gone from 3 up to 4, then to 5. And now J is going to increment to 4. And then K is starting all over again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'd expect the same thing to occur here when J gets to 5. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the K. Okay, and it's showing what's happening here. And now, finally, we increment I. So that's the most outer loop here. So it's going to increment the slowest out of all the 3 integers. But we're monitoring that it was functioning properly. And you can see we still haven't written out the code because our condition hasn't been satisfied. But the immediate window wrote in the last successful attempt because that test was done on the most inner loop here. So when we execute again here until we get the pop-up box, you can see that I is equal to 2, J is equal to 3, and K is equal to 2. That hasn't changed here yet until this is executed. And there it wrote in the next line. So it's illustrating what we were talking about before. We did not have to write it to the spreadsheet over here to see the same printout as to what the values were for I, J, and K. And if we keep on going, we'll just hit the run buttons for each of these. Every time the box pops up, we get the immediate window is written to. And there we go. So you can see that this watch window and the immediate window is very useful for debugging your code, and you have some choices here on how you debug it. Either you actually write it to cells and monitor it there, you can use the watch window with the variables, or you can write out your own results to this immediate window and customize it any way that you want. Here again, the same way we did with the other statement with our concatenation of variables and strings in order to print out the values and expressions that we want. Thank you, and hope to see you next time.